We're going to come back to the witnesses, but emergency services and police were on their way. First responders arrived to find a Black female lying on the ground in a pool of blood with significant trauma, and it appeared to be from at least 2 gunshot wounds. The neighbor identified the victim as 35-year-old Tiffany James. She was then rushed to Tampa General Hospital, and of course, a bunch of neighbors are now outside. They're standing around. They're wanting to know what happened. Police are taping off the area with yellow crime scene tape, and they're looking for clues. Emergency room doctors at the hospital could immediately tell that Tiffany had sustained significant wounds and trauma to her head and her upper body. They knew this wasn't from a handgun. It was more like a shotgun, and unfortunately, no matter how hard they tried to save Tiffany's life, she died from her injuries that night. This was a homicide, and the lead detective on the case was Moises Garcia. In his 14 years as a detective, he had never investigated a Halloween homicide. Detective Michael Blair and Corporal Bailey assisted Garcia in canvassing the Providence apartment complex. Both Garcia and Blair were fathers. Detective Blair had actually just been out trick-or-treating with his own children when he got this call to respond to the scene. And Garcia not only had 2 sons close to Diamond and Tadia's age, they were also twin boys. So this was a very emotional situation for the detectives. It hit really close to home. When the detectives arrived at the neighbor's apartment, they knew this was going to be a very delicate situation, since they were going to be speaking with 2 7-year-olds, and one of these little girls couldn't even speak. She was trying, but there were no words coming out of her mouth. They were both in shock, as I know that you can imagine. The first thing that Detective Blair thought while he's witnessing this heart-wrenching situation was that he would not stop until he figured out who did this, who took this mother away from her children. By now, Tiffany's family members were actually showing up at the scene. The heartbreak was palpable, and what made this moment even more devastating was that Tiffany's twin daughters were the ones who called their family members from the neighbor's apartment to tell them what had happened to their mother. It's hard to imagine the emotional weight these young girls had to carry and were forced to convey this tragic news to their family members. When it was time for officers to bring the twins out to safety, they had to take extra precautions. They didn't want the children to see the blood that had stained the ground outside where their mother had just been killed. To shield them from the grim scene, the officers gently wrapped the girls in blankets before guiding them out. For the time being, the twins and their brothers were placed under the care of Beulah James, Tiffany's grandmother, alongside their Aunt Vicky, a temporary arrangement meant to give them care and comfort that they needed after such a traumatic ordeal.